Boys and girls, that time has come again. It's time to put on some wrestling merchandise, gather suitable beverages and snacks, and fire up the WWE Network, because we got another pay-per-view coming our way. This Sunday, WWE will present The Horror Show at Extreme Rules, or as I'm going to call it from here on out, Extreme Rules 2020. It's going to be a weird pay-per-view, guys. There are some matches that we've never seen before, and we don't know what they're going to be like. Probably cinematic, who knows. And there are some championship matches in there as well. At the time of recording, there are 6 matches booked for the show. But who do I think will win them? That is what I'm going to present to you all today. I'm Jackson Haney from Insane Internet Wrestling, and here are my predictions for Extreme Rules 2020. Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler for the WWE Championship. If you've been a wrestling fan for the past few years, you'll have noticed a trend with Dolph Ziggler. He gets in a high-profile feud for a few months, does nothing for a few months after that, gets a WWE Championship feud for about a month or two, and then goes back into nothingness. That's the formula they've used for Dolph in the past few years. Has it worked? You could say that. He's gotten high-stakes WWE Championship matches at high-stakes pay-per-views, if you care to include Super Showdown and Stomping Grounds as high-stakes pay-per-views, which I don't. And you could say it hasn't because, well, he's never won. Is that going to change this Sunday? No, not a chance. My pick is Drew McIntyre. There is no way in the history of the world that Dolph Ziggler, the man who we last saw in a comedy feud with Otis, never forget, there's no way we're going to see him beat Drew McIntyre, the most over wrestler in the entire company, besides Keith Lee. It's just not going to happen. Now, is it going to happen officially? Are WWE booking Dolph to win against Drew? I don't know. But chances are, they're not. My pick is Drew McIntyre. Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt in a Wyatt Swamp fight. Remember in the intro when I said that there would be 2 different matches that we've never seen before? This is one of them. Braun Strowman's run as Universal Champion has been mediocre at best. He's had some decent matches against Bray Wyatt and some bad ones against The Miz and John Morrison. It was so bad. Now he's going into his 3rd straight pay-per-view as Universal Champion to once again fight Bray Wyatt. Only this time, there are 3 things that are different from their previous encounter. Number 1, this is not a conventional one-on-one match. This is a Wyatt Swamp fight. I do not know what a Wyatt Swamp fight is. I do not know how to win a Wyatt Swamp fight. That is not good, because chances are, if you don't know the rules of the match, it's probably not going to be a fun time for anyone. Anyway, number 2, this is not Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt that Braun fought at Money in the Bank. This is cult leader Bray Wyatt, Bray's gimmick from a few years back. And number 3, the Universal Championship is not on the line. Anyway, the build to this match has been weird. I haven't really cared all that much. I've only just gotten interested in it from the last episode of SmackDown. And so I really didn't know who to pick for the longest time. But now I think I do. I'm going with Bray. Because Braun is great. He's nowhere near as good as he used to be, but Braun is great. But I feel like he's taking this whole Universal Champion thing a bit too seriously. He's started getting fancy cars. He's wearing fancy jeans. He's doing his hair in a fancy way. He started wearing gold chains. It's going to his head, guys. And I feel like that Bray could beat him badly at Extreme Rules to humble him and hopefully bring back the Braun from the good old days. And Bray needs a win, in my opinion. He hasn't had one since WrestleMania, and that was 3 months ago. Where does time go? But anyway, yes, in the end, I'm picking Bray Wyatt to go over Braun Strowman. Bayley versus Nikki Cross for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I hate Bayley now. I hate her so much. She went from one of the most likable wrestlers in the entire world to being a bigger Karen than Karen herself. She's been SmackDown Women's Champion for basically well over a year, if we do not include that 5-day period where Bayley wasn't champion and Charlotte Flair was. She really hasn't had a viable challenger in a long time, and Nikki Cross is a nice change of pace. See, this feud is building kind of nicely. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross dropped the women's tag titles to Sasha and Bayley, and it came out of nowhere. No one called it. And so there was a fatal 4-way a few weeks after to determine the number one contender for Bayley's title at Extreme Rules. And Nikki won. That was nice. Now, is Nikki Cross a legitimate threat to Bayley's title reign? Sadly, no. If they built her up differently, she very well could be. But at the moment, no. Now, don't get me wrong, Nikki Cross is great. She's fantastic, great professional wrestler, great character, great all around. But I do not see her as SmackDown Women's Champion just yet. It will happen. It will happen. But at the moment, she's not ready. So, as much as it pains me to say it, I'm going to have to give the win to Bayley. Now, Bayley is involved in a team feud thing with Sasha Banks. I'll go more in depth with that in a minute, but in order to progress that feud/story, Bayley will retain. Asuka versus Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship. Now this is where the Sasha Bayley storyline comes into play. For me, the tagline for this feud is basically, the wild card rule lives on, though not in the way that you think. Sasha Banks and Bayley are, like I said earlier, women's tag team champions, which allows them to float between brands. Sasha took advantage of this and has challenged Asuka for the Raw Women's title. I think that's smart. Now, do I think that Sasha will win the Raw Women's title? No. No, I do not. But she will win another title. This is where it gets interesting. First of all, Asuka retains. That's going to be a given for this. During the match, Bayley will come down to ringside and distract Asuka, but that will ultimately cost Sasha, as she will be beaten by Asuka and Asuka will retain. Then after the match, Sasha is going to beat the crap out of Bayley. This will lead to a SmackDown Women's title match between them at SummerSlam. Everyone is thinking that this is going to happen, and it's genius. It should have happened months ago. It should have happened years ago. It should have happened. It definitely should have happened at WrestleMania. But if they're going to do it here, all I can say is better late than never. But in the end, Asuka retains. Apollo Crews versus MVP for the United States Championship. To many people, including myself, Apollo Crews' United States Championship win was long overdue. I think he's going to have a pretty good reign, but as with any title reign, they will start out with roadblocks. Case in point, MVP and Bobby Lashley. Those two guys just got out of a main event feud with Drew McIntyre, and now they're beating up mid-card guys every single week, like Cedric Alexander and Ricochet, which pains me deeply, and Apollo Crews. MVP actually unveiled the new design for the United States Championship. Is that a good design? Let me know in the comments. I do not care. And MVP has been holding the new title and carrying it around everywhere like it's his. And apparently, the winner of this match will become the undisputed holder of the new belt. That's it, really. There's not much story there. And so for me, it's obvious who the winner's going to be. It's going to be Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews is going to have a fantastic run as United States Champion. I can feel it. And yes, there will be roadblocks. But in the end, this win will help him become the champion he is destined to be. Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins in an eye for an eye match. I've covered the eye for an eye match in great detail on the channel already. If you want to watch that video, the link to it will be in the description below. But the point still stands. This match is going to be ludicrous. It's the second match of the two matches that we've never seen before. But it's going to be really intriguing because long term, it really doesn't have any effects going for it. Short term, I just want to see someone's eye pop out of their head. Yeah, if you didn't know, the only way to win the match is to literally gouge your opponent's eye out of their skull. That's going to be horrifying, guys, and I'm going to love it. But as for who's going to win, I'm giving the win to Rey Mysterio. Now, Rey with one eye will not be popular to the children. Children love Rey Mysterio, and seeing their hero walking around with one eye in his head is going to cause several nightmares. It would for me if I was a kid, but I'm almost 15 years old. It's not going to affect me. Seth Rollins, him having one eye, it suits him, I think. There are two ways to describe Seth Rollins' character right now. One, wrestling Jesus, that's my personal favorite. And two, what would happen if a preacher and Jon Snow from Game of Thrones had a baby and that baby decided to become a professional wrestler. Seth right now is one of the most BA characters on the entire roster. And him having one eye would make him even more so, I think. So in the end, I'm giving the W to Ray Ray. So those are my predictions for Extreme Rules 2020. What are yours? Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe, and you can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Jackson Haney from Insane Internet Wrestling, and I will see you soon.